Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, August 17th, 2024. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Seattle Mariners taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Luis Castillo and Bailey Falter are your starters. Castillo's in great form right now. He's had 5 straight quality starts. The strikeout numbers are there, and I think he pitches well in this game. The Pirates have not been a great lineup against right-handed pitching in the last month. Bailey Falter, we mentioned the regression concerns. We're starting to see that. The last game, only 4 innings, 4 earned runs, 7 base hits against the Dodgers, 3 walks to go with it. Seattle's been solid against left-handed pitching this season. I'd say they've been better against lefties than righties overall this year. So I could see them getting to Falter for a few runs. I like this Mariners bullpen. Give me Seattle in this one on the money line. Next up, we see the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Chicago Cubs. We're going to see Chris Bassett and Justin Steele as your starters. Chris Bassett's not in great form right now. In his last 5 games, the Blue Jays are 1-4 in those starts. He's given up at least 1 home run in all those games. 5 earned runs or more in 3 of those 5 starts, including 7 in that last game against the A's. And I think the Cubs can get to him for a few runs early. Justin Steele's in great form on the other side for Chicago. The Blue Jays have not done too much against left-handed pitching in the last 30 days. I like the spot for the Cubs on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Zach Gallen and Jeffrey Springs are your projected starters. Zach Gallen remains a great option in this Diamondbacks rotation. They've won a lot of his games recently, but I would say I don't think he's looked as dominant as we're used to seeing from Gallen, at least at the beginning of the season or last year. And, just recently, and so far in August, 4.76 ERA. He's given up quite a few base runners in 11 and a third innings, 13 hits and 4 walks to go with it. Only 7 strikeouts. That's a concern for me. Not missing the bats, giving up a lot of hits and sharp contact, the walks as well. I know the Rays have been a miserable lineup in the last month against righties, but I think this is a spot where they could break out a bit, and I don't think they're going to need too much. Jeffrey Springs pitched really well in his last game against Baltimore. His 5 innings, a 1-run ball, had 8 strikeouts in the end, no walks, and the Rays wanted to win that game 2-1, a low-scoring affair. I could see a similar, score line in this one. I think the values with the Rays in this one getting a great price. Give me Tampa Bay on the money line. Next up, the New York Yankees taking on the Detroit Tigers. Carlos Rodon and Kiter Montero are your starters. Rodon's got that ERA above 4, but recently he's been in great form. His last 5 games, 3 earned runs or fewer in all those starts, 2 earned runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5. The strikeout numbers are where they need to be. He does give up a good amount of sharp contact and home runs, but when you look at the Detroit Tigers in the last 30 days, they've been pretty miserable against left-handed pitching, so I think it's a good spot for Rodon. Kiter Montero on the other side, put together a couple of good outings, but last start against the Giants, 4 earned runs and 5 innings of work. The Yankees have been smoking right-handed pitching in the last 30 days. I think they're number 1 in WRC plus against righties in the last month, so give me the Yankees in this one on the run line. Next up, the Miami Marlins taking on the New York Mets. We're going to see Max Meyer and Luis Severino as the starters. Now, I don't love the current form that Severino's in, but he has pitched well against the Marlins this season with a sub-3 ERA. I think he'll be good enough. I think the Mets bullpen will also be good enough for the Mets to go on to win this game and cover the run line. Maybe you take the over as well, but when you look at Max Meyer, he's struggling. The Mets have hit righties well this season, and especially, recently. I could see the Mets getting to Meyer for a few runs early and never really looking back. Now, we've seen the Mets blow. We saw against the A's, they were up 5-0, and then all of a sudden they lose the game outright 7-6. It's a concern, but I still think, like I said, Severino will be good enough here at home. Mets find a way to win this game and cover that run line. Not my favorite game on the board, but I'll lean towards New York in this one. Next up, we see the Washington Nationals taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Mackenzie Gore and Christopher Sanchez, a pair of lefties on the mound in this one. Now, not only are the Phillies crushing lefties in the last 30 days, where they're number 1 in WRC+, number 1 in OPS, 2 in isolated power, but they've also had success against Mackenzie Gore in his young career. Last year they crushed him in a couple of outings. I remember that 19-4 final score in favor of Philadelphia, and then on August 9th, 6 earned runs, 3 home runs against the Phillies, and a 7-0 Phillies win. Now, so far this year, Gore's put together some decent outings against the Phillies, a quality start back on May 18th, but still, I think the Phillies have enough power in this lineup to get to Gore, who's really struggling right now. His last start, he didn't give up a single earned run, but he gave up 5 unearned runs in another Nationals loss, 6-4. And in the month of July, Gore had a 7.62 ERA. So I got to go with the Phillies here, even though I do think the Nationals can put up a fight against Christopher Sanchez. find a few runs on him, but he's been really sharp at Citizens Bank Park this season, 6-3 with a 2.32 ERA. Give me the Phillies in this one and the over. I'll take the Phillies on the run line. Next up, we see the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Michael Wacha and Nick Lodolo as the starters. Now, Lodolo, we mentioned that he has much better numbers on the road, not just this season, but in his career, than he does at Great American Ballpark. I mean, back in 2023, it was a small sample size, but a 2.25 ERA on the road, an 8.46 ERA at Great American. So far this year, in about 50 innings apiece, both on the road and at home, a 3.05 ERA on the road with a 169 opponent's batting average, and at home, 52 and a third innings, 4.99 ERA, just below 5, and a 277 opponent's batting average, so over 100 points higher there. It's tough to trust him when he's pitching at Great American. The Royals' current hitters, it's a small sample size, but they have pretty good numbers against Lodolo in their few matchups, and Michael Wacha's in great form. The Royals have won 4 of his last 5 games. It's tough to go against Kansas City in this spot. I'm going to go with the Royals on the money line. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Brian Bayo and Albert Suarez are your starters. Bayo's been a profit machine for the Red Sox this year. They've won his last 4 starts. He's coming off a strong outing against the Rangers, but he's faced these Orioles twice this year, one at Fenway, one at Camden, and he gave up 3 runs in 5 innings against the Orioles at Camden Yards in his only, road game. I think the Orioles can find a few runs on him early in this one. Suarez has pitched well at Camden Yards, a sub-3 ERA this season there. I think he can go 5-6 strong innings. I think it's going to be enough for the Orioles to win this game, potentially cover the run line as well. Give me the Orioles in this one on the money line. Next up, the Minnesota Twins taking on the Texas Rangers. David Festa and Nathan Eovaldi are your starters. David Festa's in good form right now. His last game, his pitch count got out of control a little bit early, and he wasn't able to go deep into the ballgame, but he's given up 2 earned runs or fewer in his last 4 starts. His strikeout numbers have been there, and when you look at this Rangers team, they've really struggled with runners in scoring position, and they've just been rather unfortunate all season against right-handed pitching offensively. When you look on the other side, Nathan Eovaldi, not in good form. He's given up in his last 2 starts, which, his first 2 starts of August, 8 innings, 13 base hits, 8 earned runs, 2 home runs to go with it. He's just not in good enough form for me. When you look at this Twins lineup against right-handed pitching, they've done very well. I think the Twins have the better bullpen. Give me the Twins in this game on the money line. Next up, the Chicago White Sox taking on the Houston Astros. Chris Flexen and Hunter Brown are your starters. And the Astros are huge favorites in this game, but I can't blame the books. I mean, Chris Flexen, the White Sox have only won 2 of his starts all season, and the last time the White Sox won a Chris Flexen start was back on May the 8th, and both of those wins, by the way, we get for Chicago with Flexen on the mound were against the Tampa Bay Rays, so the same team. Other than that, they've lost every single game, a lot of those by the run line as well, including the last 8 have been against the run line as well. I got to go with the Astros here, lay the 1.5 runs. Brown's in great form. I think the Astros get the Flexen for a few runs early, add a few on the White Sox bullpen. Give me the Astros in this game, but not a lot of value because the price is so steep. In our next game, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Oakland Athletics. Hayden Birdsong and Osvaldo Bido are your starters. Now, I'd definitely be more interested in the Giants here if Birdsong was in better form, but his last 2 games, really concerning for me, 12 earned runs and 4 home runs in only 6 1/3 innings, and it's not like those were against really tough teams and really tough places. I mean, at Nationals Park, Nationals Park could be a tough place to pitch, but to give up 7 earned and 2 bombs to the Nationals, not really what you want to see, and then 5 earned runs at Oracle Park against the Tigers, that's a real concern for me. Now you go on the road against the Oakland A's, a team that's been solid offensively in the second half of the year. And you got Bido on the other side pitching as well as he has. I got to roll with the Oakland Athletics in this game on the money line. Next up, the Guardians and the Brewers. We're going to see Tanner Bybee and Freddie Peralta as the projected starters. It's been an impressive season for Bybee overall in general, but when you look at his road numbers, even more impressive. 6-2 record, a sub-3 ERA, 71 strikeouts and 68 2/3 innings. So he's been really sharp on the road. I think he pitches well. Freddie Peralta, maybe not as strong of a season as he would, hope for going into the year, but I still think he's a good option for the Brewers in this game. Not in the best form, but his last 2 games were against the Dodgers and the Braves. 2 powerful lineups. Now I think here against Cleveland, a team that's not been the best against right-handed pitching in the last 30 days. I think it's a better spot for Peralta. So give me the under with lean towards the Guardians as well in this one. Next up, the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Tyler Glasnow and Andre Pallante are your projected starters. Pallante's been okay in the starting pitching role, but the team's not backing him up in the run support department or the bullpen, and the St. Louis has dropped his last 5 starts. 4 of those 5 were by more than 1 run. So I got to roll the Dodgers here on the run line. I mean, the Cardinals in the last 30 days, 21st in WRC plus against righties. When you're up against Tyler Glasnow, it's not going to cut it. Glasnow's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in his last 4 games. I got to roll the Dodgers here, lay the 1.5 runs on the road. Next up, the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Diego Padres. Dylan Cease and Kyle Freeland are your starters. Now, last year, Dylan Cease pitched at Coors Field, did not fare too well, but this season, at the beginning of the year, back on April 22nd, he pitched at Coors, one of his best starts of the year, really. 7 innings, a 1-run ball, 8 strikeouts in a 3-1 Padres win. So I'm definitely more willing to back Cease and the Padres, knowing that he can put together a strong outing at Coors, because some pitchers, even the best pitchers in baseball, they just can't figure out how to pitch well at Coors Field. It's a tough place to pitch, but Cease has got that experience. I think he puts together a solid outing, not an unhittable outing. I mean, he gave up 5 runs his last game against the Marlins. I think the Rockies find a few off of him, but Kyle Freeland on the other side, while I really like what I'm seeing from him since the All-Star break and since the injury, he does not have the best numbers against the current Padres hitters in his career, and that includes a very, very low 10% strikeout rate, which, San Diego already does a great job at limiting strikeouts. They should be able to put the ball in play almost every at-bat. They have a pretty good expected slugging percentage against Freeland as well. So I think the San Diego bats are just too much in the end for Colorado. Give me the Padres in this one on the run line, laying 2.5 runs as well. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Atlanta Braves. Chris Sale and Griffin Canning are your starters. I don't see a ton of value in this game, but I'm going to take the Braves and lay the 1.5 runs. The Angels have done a pretty good job in the last month limiting strikeouts against lefties. That could be an issue for Chris Sale, who's very strikeout dependent. We saw in that last game, earning those strikeouts against the Giants team. It's struck out quite a bit against left-handers, but with the Angels, solid numbers against lefties. They could cause a little bit of an issue for Chris Sale, but I still think the Braves find a way to win this game and cover the run line. You got Griffin Canning on the other side. He's been better in the second half of the year, but not by enough for me to take a chance with him. And I also think that the Braves have the much better bullpen. So if this is a closer game late, you're guaranteed 9 full innings of at-bats from the Braves. I think they'll be able to find a way to cover that run line in the end. So give me Atlanta, lead towards the under as well in Braves-Angels. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comments section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.